All right, so you finally booked an epic vacation. You've done all the planning, you're ready to go, and then it hits you. This is your first international flight. You're excited, but also low key terrified. There's passports, there's customs, there's immigration, connecting flights, different languages. Can you handle all of this? Don't worry, you've got this because you're going to watch this video and I'm going to tell you step by step all the things that you need to plan for, and you're going to be able to breeze through this process without any issues whatsoever. You're going to look like a pro. Hi, my name is Bill from Dreamweaver Travels, and today we're going to be breaking down step by step all the things you need to know about international flights. No confusion. You'll know exactly what to expect. So first, let's talk about all the things before you get to the airport. Is going to be a key to a successful international flight. As far as passports go, there's a couple of things you need to know. One, you need to make sure that it meets the expedition requirements of the country you're going to. A lot of different people may ask to see them, so make sure you have them handy at all times. Also, make sure that you have the right documentation, so that way then you don't get any surprises. In this day and age, everyone uses digital copies of things. Digital copy of things is great, and I always keep all my documentation digitized on my phone. But I also bring hard copies. Because what if your phone malfunctions or you don't have an internet and you can't get those documents or they're just not available? You'll have the hard copies as backups. Second, let's talk about some packing tips that will help you survive long flights. Like I already said, make sure your passport and your documentation is readily available, maybe in the front pocket of your carry-on, never in your checked luggage. You might also want to bring one of the battery charging packs, just in case the airline, their charging ports don't work. You also want to make sure you bring headphones, not just wireless headphones, but I would bring a pair of headphones that have a jack. A lot of the airplanes have the seatback entertainment, but a lot of them don't have the capability of connecting to wireless headphones. Alternatively, you can get a little jack that will plug into that seatback entertainment and allow you to connect your wireless. You can find those on Amazon. Also, in your carry-on bag, you may want to bring some snacks. Those long flights, having a little bit of extra snack is always a good idea. A lot of times what I'll bring a, what I call a snackle box, where I put a whole bunch of cold cuts in different compartments. You can bring ice packs, so I just make sure they're completely frozen, never had a problem getting through security. And then I bring some crackers, and that way then I can make little sandwiches, little appetizers, and that helps me get through the long flight when I feel the snack urge coming on. Also, I recommend you bring a light jacket onto the plane. A lot of times the plane can get a little bit chilly. They tend to keep the plane temperature fairly low. So if you're one that's prone to getting cold, you're going to want to have that light jacket. And if you don't need to wear it, it always makes a good pillow. And the last thing on packing that you want to make sure that you're taking care of is you want to make sure that you know the baggage rules for the airlines that you're going to be taking, both going and coming back. Also, a lot of airlines are now going to weigh your carry-on bag, and usually that's a 20-pound limit. You want to make sure that you're within all of those guidelines, where you really do not want to get through your gate, ready to board your plane, and then they weigh your carry-on bag and tell you it's too heavy, and you have to pay a boatload of money to check that bag. So now that you've got all your airport items taken care of, let's talk about when you should arrive at the airport. For most domestic flights, 2 hours is plenty of time to get to the flight, get through TSA, and get to your gate. Not a big deal. Flights usually stop boarding 10 to 15 minutes before they take off. They board, you're good to go. International flights, completely different story. You're going to want to leave yourself at least 3 hours. And here's the reason. One, you're going to need to check your bag, which you have to do on a domestic flight. But when you check that bag, they're also going to check your documentation. Then going through TSA, they're going to check your passport, and they might also ask for your documentation. Also, depending on where you go, you might end up going through customs right there before you get through TSA. And in addition to that, because most of the long flights are larger planes, they tend to stop boarding those planes 30 to 45 minutes before it's time to take off. And they close the door usually 10 to 15 minutes before takeoff. So that means that if you arrive at your gate with 2 minutes to spare, they've already closed the door and now you've missed your flight. You want to make sure you arrive at your gate probably at least an hour before your flight because they're going to stop boarding within 15 to 20 minutes of that. That way, then you're not going to feel that stress of everything that's going on. So 3 hours is a good rule. If your first international flight, I recommend go there early. You can always find a place to sit, read a book, chat. It's better than being stressed. All right. So you've arrived at the airport, plenty of time. You've gone through, you've checked your bags, you've taken care of all of that. You've gone through security. Maybe you've gone through passport control. You've headed over to your gate, and now it's time to stop boarding. Now, on most domestic flights, all you're going to need to get on the plane is going to be your boarding pass. International flights are a little bit different. Typically, you're going to need your boarding pass plus your passport. And depending on where you're going, you might need additional documentation. They'll make announcements, so make sure you listen to exactly what they're going to need and have everything ready for when you get up there. But it's almost always going to be boarding pass and passport. So make sure you have at least those two, and if anything additional that they've asked for. So now you've boarded the plane. So you find your seat, you're getting comfortable, the doors close, things are going smooth. Now, on most international flights, depending on when you're flying, there'll probably be some meal services. Typically, the meal services are going to happen shortly after takeoff and then shortly before landing. They're going to do those meal services if there's two. Maybe there might just be one, depending on the time you're flying. But they usually do those either at the beginning or the end. So in between, there's a couple of things you want to do. One, to pass the time, and two, to keep yourself refreshed so that you don't get off the plane and feel like you need to have a nap. The first thing, and probably the most important, is to drink plenty of water. A lot of people will avoid drinking while they're on the plane, so they don't have to get up to use the restroom because they're small and uncomfortable. But on a long flight, you're really going to want to drink a lot of water. That's going to keep you hydrated and also keep your blood flowing so that you don't end up with lower leg cramps, which is common on long flights. Also, by drinking a lot of water, it's going to give you an excuse to get up. I recommend getting up at least once every hour and a half and at least stretch your legs. Maybe you take a walk to the restroom. Maybe you just stand in the aisle, do some stretching. Maybe you just go for a walk up and down the aisle. On a long flight, that's perfectly normal and totally expected. So get up every hour and a half, drink plenty of water. I say water, I don't recommend drinking alcoholic beverages. Alcoholic beverages tend to dehydrate. Same thing with coffee. Water is really the answer here. And while you're on the plane but nothing else to do, now's a good time to start getting your body acclimated to the time zone that you're going to. Typically, what I do is from the time I get on the plane, I tend to consider myself in the new time zone. So regardless of what time it was when I boarded the plane, whatever time it's going to be when I land is the time I go by. So if I should be sleeping at that time, I'm going to try to sleep. Doesn't always work, but I'm going to try. If I should be awake, even though it's the middle of the night at home, I'm going to try and stay awake. That way then, by the time I land, my body has already started to adjust to the new time zone. That helps a lot with jet lag. And the last note about while you're on this long flight, the odds are on a long flight, you are going to hit some turbulence. It's completely normal and it's totally expected. You'll notice that the pilots will typically put on the seatbelt sign long before you hit any turbulence. That's because they see it, they know it's coming, they have everyone put their seatbelt on, there's a couple of bumps along the way, and everything's smooth. It's totally normal, nothing to stress out about. Okay, so now you survived your long flight. You've landed in your destination. But now, the next thing that's going to stress you out comes about. You have a connecting flight, and it's a domestic flight. And there's a few things you need to be aware of about this. So let me go through the process. So you're going to land, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go through passport control or immigration. Those are pretty interchangeable terms. Basically, what they're going to do is they're going to check to make sure that you have all your documentation come into the country and make sure that they may ask you some questions about where you're going to stay, when you're planning on leaving, when you're going to return, those types of questions. That's all about allowing you personally into the country. Then the next step you're going to do is you're going to go get your luggage. So you're going to go down, you're going to find where your luggage rack is, you're going to collect your luggage. Then you're going to go through customs. And what customs is going to be asking you about is things that you're bringing in. They want to make sure that you're only bringing in allowable items and that you're declaring any items that you need to declare. So just answer their questions honestly and to the point, and you should be fine. Then, because you have a connecting flight, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to recheck your luggage. Now, typically, this is going to just be a belt that you're going to put your luggage back on. There'll usually be a sign there that says recheck here. You put your luggage there, and it goes on to your final destination. And then you're going to find your new gate and take your domestic flight. So, a couple of things about how you manage all of this. One, most countries that I've been to, in addition to have signing in the local language, will also have it in English. But if it's not in English, Google Translate will allow you to take a picture of the sign and it will translate it for you. So make sure you're familiar with how those kinds of apps work and have one ready to go just in case you need to translate some signage. Also, a lot of the airport staff will speak English. So if you have questions, you should be able to find someone to help you that speaks English. They'll answer your questions and help you on your way. Now, with all of the things that you need to do connecting from an international to a domestic flight, there's one thing you want to make sure you do is when you book those kinds of flights, that you leave yourself enough time of a layover to be able to get through all those steps without having to run. So I recommend 2 to 3 hours when going from an international to a domestic. So what happens if either your first flight is delayed or for whatever reason, customs asked you more questions and you were delayed working through that process and you miss your connecting flight? As soon as you realize that you're gonna miss your connecting flight, find the airline counter, go over to them, explain the situation to them, and they'll usually be able to rebook you on a later flight at no additional charge. These types of things happen fairly frequently, and they're used to dealing with it. Best case scenario, you might go over to the counter and they say, oh, your domestic flight has been delayed. You actually have plenty of time to get there. But worst case scenario, they'll rebook it. Don't let that stress you out. Somehow they'll find a way to get you there. They're very good at what they do. Now, if you don't have a connecting flight and you're just taking that one flight, you have a direct flight from the US over to whatever country you're going to, the process is going to be very similar then to if you have a connecting flight, minus a couple of steps. You're still going to get off. You're going to go through passport control, immigration. Then you're going to go and you're going to get your luggage. You're going to go through customs. And once you go through customs, don't recheck your bag because otherwise it will go into limbo. So keep taking your bag with you. Then you're going to just exit the secure area. Obviously, you don't need to transfer it to a domestic terminal. At that point, you can just get your transfer or your taxi or however it is you're getting from the airport to your hotel. When you're dealing with either passport control or immigration, they're going to ask you a series of questions. Now, those questions vary depending on the officer. I've had a bunch of different questions. They may ask why you're visiting. Typically, that's going to be for vacation or leisure. And that's really all you need to say. You don't need to say, I'm coming because I want to see and list off all the places you're going. Now, you can just say for leisure. Because really that question, they really just want to know, are you here for a vacation, short term? Are you here to go to school? Are you here to work? Because all of those different things lead to different questions. So if you're here for leisure, then they might ask, where are you staying? And really all they need is the first hotel that you're staying at. And then they might ask how long you're going to be there. I'm going to be on vacation for 21 days. Then they might ask, do you have a return ticket? Make sure that you have your return ticket with you. Show them that. And that just shows that you're coming, you're staying, you're going to enjoy, and then you're going to leave. So international flights do have a lot of moving parts. Flight connections, documentation, immigration, customs, all of these things. So do you have other questions? If you do, there's a couple things you can do. You go down, put them in the comments. I'll read it. I'll answer it. Or you can always give me a call or send me an email. My contact info is going to be in the description. Always glad to help answer questions and help people have the best vacation possible. And if you found this informative, helpful, or you were just able to put up with it until the end, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. I do these videos every week. I might do a destination one week. I might do some tips and tricks or how to do things another week, but I do post every week and I look forward to you joining me. Thank you and have a great vacation.